Well, and then eventually you raised 1.3 million last year. Take me through that process then. Fundraising, how you decide who to bring on board in terms of your investors. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting was my goal was to actually only raise 600,000. And I feel very fortunate that I was actually able to raise the 1.3 because we've needed, yeah, we definitely, it was definitely advantageous to have it, especially during the pandemic. Um, so I'll say, that round got published. I guess it was Forbes in like July or August of 2020. Truthfully, that round took probably about 7 to 9 months to put together. And it's interesting because I started out trying to raise 600, was doing very terribly at that, and then all of a sudden the round got hot, and I raised 1.3 in about 6 weeks. Just to kind of show you the volatility that can occur in a fundraising round. So I was still going in the early stage, just my own very like kind of bootstrap self financing type of mentality. But got to a point where I was starting to be stretched for dollars, and so opened up. We did it through a convertible note round. Um, Fortunately, had some friends put in the first, maybe like 50, 75K. Um, and then we did get basically he was an early customer. His name is Scott Belsky, chief product officer at Adobe. Yeah, very prominent angel investor. At the time, I would literally look up all of my customers. So, when I got a Shopify, get the ka-ching, I'm like, just curious. We weren't getting a ton of orders, so I'm always, and it was my first time running a business, so I'm like, hey, this is cool. Like, who is this person? And obviously, no, I mean, I knew who Scott Belsky was just because I'd been in technology, and so reached out to him. Uh, silly me, like I didn't find his investment website, so I actually asked him, hey Scott, do you invest? And now it's like that was the dumbest question ever, because obviously he invests. But so when he came on, that brought in a couple other folks, but we actually, I mean, I'll be honest, like, we did hit another um, lull. The biggest thing that really spurred it on was around May, I want to say. And this was in the middle of the pandemic. It was really bad times. Um, Jen Rubio came on, who is the co-founder of Away, and between her and Scott, they both just have a lot of trust, and like their networks, like they, fortunately, the switches started flipping on the networks, and then the round just got like I'll tell you this, the first like maybe call 200,000 maybe took me 5 months. The last 1.1 million took me 6 weeks, and probably could have even happened quicker than that. The problem was like I was still the only employee, so I was still like having to like run the business and put up the numbers that we needed to validate what we were doing, and then also go fundraise. So quite a stressful time during the summer. It was that was like, yeah, I had to really kind of dig deep on that one. But it was we got through it.
What type of feedback were you getting from Jen and Scott? Like when they, obviously they became investors, they've done a number of investments, some higher profile. Like, what were they saying about why they invested in you?
It was brand and brand potential. They were like, we think this product basically like it hits, and also they saw where I was going with building community and building community, and that community itself was already a significant portion of that community had like high purchasing power, but was significantly underrepresented. So basically, long and short of it was, us being an Asian inspired product. If you look at just how much like the API purchasing power, plus how much of it we spend on our demographic spends on brands, and how much we over index on like social media. So essentially, like you're creating your initial word of mouth flywheel, like the early rumblings were there if you created the right product, and then marry that with the macro trends that we all had seen and that I talked about with Crazy Rich Asians and all this other stuff. It just kind of created that marriage that we both had an initial tribe of Asian Americans, but that the broader American populace was also it was open to that population as well. So um, and then look, like ultimately, I had to convince them that that I could be a good steward of capital, that I could build a good team. We're going, especially through that team building process right now. Actually, we're wrapping up another fundraising round right now. So, especially in beverage, one of the things as well is, can this person just continue to raise money, because you do need to raise a decent amount of money to keep the lights on. So yeah, I mean, if you want other specifics, maybe you could ask. Maybe I'll get you to ask Jen and Scott. But I think those are the primary things.